Hey guys, what's up? Today I am here to show you my natural daily makeup routine. So I have pulled my hair back, gotten it out of my face, put it in a nice little braid, and we're gonna get started. First, we're gonna use some moisturizer. As you'll notice, I'm using a lot of Mary Kay products because my mom is a Mary Kay consultant, so those products are super easy for me to access. Just put a little dot of moisturizer on my hands, spread it all over my face just to prep the face, get it smooth and moisturized for a good base. Now you always want to get it on your neck and your hands, making sure everything's moisturized and it's going to be dry. Next, we're going to take a primer. This is also Mary Kay. It's a foundation primer. And it's really hard to squeeze out because it's pretty low, so I went ahead and put it on this beauty blender. And this amount is right about where you want to be for some good coverage. I just pat it mostly in my T-zone area, so right under the eyes, on the bridge of the nose, the forehead, and maybe the lips, but then I'll take the excess of what is left on the beauty blender and kind of just wipe it on the rest of my face. For primer, you can really do a patting or a wiping motion. You just really want to make sure you have an even coverage of it. After I have done all of that, I'm just going to air my face off a little bit because I don't want the product to be wet while I am going to go put more on. Now that we've prepped the face, we're going to lay down the base. I personally start with concealer. This is Wet n Wild. I really love it. It's cheap and works great. Some people put concealer on after foundation, some put it on before. I personally just prefer to put it on before. I'm going to put it under my eyes to brighten up that area and really make my eyes pop. I'm also going to put it right on my forehead and above my eyebrows. And then I put it a little over my lip and just over some blemishes. This concealer that I'm using is a concealer stick. It's really nice for covering up blemishes. That's another reason why I like to put it on under the foundation so that I can go ahead and just erase those. I'm going to take that same beauty blender and I am just going to start patting all of this concealer in. Blend, 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 blend. Lots of blending. You want there to be an even coat of this, no harsh lines. So you're going to really concentrate the patting motion in the areas where you put the concealer, but also deviate away from that just so that you don't have harsh lines and you're blending it into your whole face. You really want to get this super blended because it's the base layer, and if this is chunky, then the rest of your makeup will be chunky, and we don't want that. So as you can see, it's pretty even. Just gonna touch up a few areas here. And voila! Blemishes are gone, redness has disappeared. Once again, just air off the face a little bit, make sure it's not too sticky or wet before you put on the next step, which is going to be foundation. Once again, I have some more Mary Kay products. These are both foundations. I'm using two colors because we're in that in-between season where I'm not pale, but I'm really not tan either. So the two colors I'm using today are Ivory 4 and Beige 5. I'm going to open up that Ivory 4, it's the lighter color, put it on my hand. I just use my hand as a spot to mix the two colors on. Then I'm going to open up the Beige 5, put a little bit less of that because it is a much darker color. I'll just squeeze that right on top. As you can see, the ratio I'm about to show you. Then I just take any end of any brush and I mix them together, making sure that it's all blended in. You don't want streaks of one color or another. You really want to make the colors blend together to one new color. Once that is all mixed in, I'll just take any excess, kind of wipe it on the face, get it ready to apply. Once again, that same beauty blender. It gets messy, but it works. You're gonna pat it all around your face. When it comes to foundation, I personally don't believe that there's any one better place to start on the face. Then another, you can start on the upper part of your face, you can start on the jawline, you can start in the middle, just as long as you blend it. That's so important. You don't want anything to be chunky, you don't want there to be any harsh lines, and you just want everything to look really smooth and almost like a new skin. As you can see, I'm dragging some of it down onto the neck just to prevent any lines of foundation on my jaw, and then I'll also wipe a little bit on my ears just so that my ears aren't pale while the rest of me is a little bronzier. It would look just a little funny. I'm really have a full coverage on by now, but I'm just gonna keep patting it and blending it and making sure it's super smooth. The more time you take to blend and make sure that your makeup looks smooth, the better it's gonna look. When you have to do it quicker and you don't get the chance to really smooth it out and make it even, that's when it ends up looking cakey and chunky and just not like a good application. As you can see, my base is really coming together. I have this nice dewy look. This concealer, or the foundation that I'm using, does have a dewy finish, but our next step will be powder, and that's really going to set that in so my face still have a dewy look, but it's not going to look wet. As I mentioned, we're going on to powder, so here is me getting my brushes. I've been using a beauty blender up to here, but then when I get to the dry products, I like to use brushes. This is, once again, another Mary Kay product, Mary Kay Translucent Powder. It's just a white loose powder that really helps to set all the makeup in without distorting any of the color. I really just tap my fluffy brush into the lid, which has all the powder in it, and then tap it out so that it's not too heavy. Once again, I cannot stress enough that you don't want to look cakey. Cake is delicious, but not on your face. You're gonna keep patting, and then you'll feel on your face, you kind of want it to start feeling a little drier. You don't want it to feel like your face is gonna crack or anything, but you just wanna like kind of get some of that excess dewiness off, depending on what kind of look you're going for. I do prefer my base makeup to look a little more matte than dewy, so I go a little heavier on the powder. And I'm just gonna get it on all those places I put the foundation and concealer, the ears, the face, the cheeks, the neck, everything. You don't want anything to not be set. Even if you do want a dewy look, you still want to use this just to set it, or else throughout the day your makeup's just going to start melting off of your face, and we definitely do not want that after all of our hard work to make ourselves look beautiful. Okay, so I think I've used all the powder that I need. I'm gonna just put that away, and we're going on to the next step, which is adding color and depth. As you can see, we have a really flawless, smooth base now, but we want to add color and bring our faces back to life. So I'm going to start with a little bit of contour. Like I said earlier, this is a more natural, everyday kind of look. So what I'm going to do is a really light, natural contour. If I was going to be going on stage, it would be a lot more. So we're going to take our angled, fluffy brush. We're going to stick it in the darker brown, and then we're just going to go from the hairline above the ear to the middle of the cheek. You don't want to bring it all the way down to your mouth, or then it's not going to look as natural or as good. Just to round out the face and blend all these colors together, I put a little bit on the forehead, just to warm up the face and make sure my cheeks aren't the only thing that have a little bit of bronze on them. I then use that same brush, I'm going to blow it off, and I'm going to go into the highlight. I use a matte highlight that's not shimmery, and I'm just going to pat it up in that area. It's kind of where I put my concealer. I'm going to put it on the high parts of my cheekbones, and then I'll also put a little bit on my forehead, down the bridge of my nose, and anywhere where you feel like just needs a little more brightness, but that's all I do for my natural look. Then our next step is going to be using some blush. Here's my favorite brush. It's an EcoTools blush brush. It's really great for blush. It's really soft but compact, so you get a lot of color without scratching your face. Just a couple of swipes through the blush palette. You might want to blow it off. My blush is Mary Kay. It is very pigmented, so I don't want to get too much. And then I really take this in between where we put the contour and the highlight. It kind of blends those two together and adds color to the face. And then sometimes I just swipe a little bit on the forehead, nose, and neck, just so that that color isn't only on my cheeks and is throughout the face, so it looks blended. Okay, and our next step is going to be eyes. I have a fluffy crease brush that I use. Once again, this is natural, so we're just going in with one color today. I've really been loving this Mary Kay light lavender purpley color. I usually use neutral colors when it comes to my eyes, but to liven up my face, give it a little more warmth, a little more color, I've really been loving this really light purple. So it's still natural, but it's adding that warmth. For the natural look, I'm just going to tap the brush into the eyeshadow, and then as you can see, I just lightly windshield wiper motion the brush onto my brow bones. It's a little bit above the brow bone just to lift the eyes a little bit. I do have small eyes, so I am always struggling to figure out how to make my eyes look bigger, wider, more open, and I find that using a light natural color and then just sweeping that in a windshield wiper motion right on the brow bone and a little bit above is really going to give me that look. Also, to open up my eyes is to put that same color just a little bit and sweep it under the lower lash line. This really adds some depth to the eye. It gives a little bit of a shadow, and it also just adds more color so that we don't look too pale or too bland. So for a natural eyeshadow look, that's really all I do. Super simple, super easy, but it looks really nice. And next, this is another eyeshadow palette I have that sometimes I'll use instead of the purple, but there's this black color in there that really doesn't work well with my eyes because I have such small eyes. So I take this little tiny brush, very compact and small, and I dab it in the black and use it to fill in my eyebrows. In order to shape my eyebrows, I just pluck them. My eyebrows are pretty thick and dark anyways, but once I have all this other makeup on, I really need to define them so they don't get lost in my face. And so I just use that little bit of black and just brush it onto the hairs so that it just defines my eyebrow. You can really see them, and now they stand out a little bit more. Eyebrows are the face's emotion. It shows what your face is thinking. So really that's almost it. We're down to the final touches. I'm using this mascara. It's CoverGirl Katy Cat Eye. It's a Katy Perry mascara. I used it a while ago for a pageant, loved it, and have not changed my mascara since. So it's what I'm sticking to. As you can see, I'm starting with the lower lash line. I feel like this isn't very common, but I learned that when you do your lower lash line, you really do this great mascara face that everyone knows about, and you peel your eyes open, and it makes your top lashes touch the top of your eyelid. And so that really, if you do the lower lash line first before you have mascara on the top lashes, it keeps that eyeshadow we just worked on safe. So it doesn't stick black dots to your eyeshadow. Just start with the lower lashes and then go to the upper lashes. I really just do some shaking of the brush, blinking, pulling. It's just whatever you want. You can keep going more layers to get a fuller coverage if you want, get bigger eyelashes. But once again, this is just a natural look, so I'm just kind of defining the lash hairs and getting just a light coat on there to open up my eyes a little bit and get that natural look so it doesn't look too crazy. Okay, one more step just to once again liven up the face because that's what we want. I just take some lipstick. I really like light pinks, so they almost look nude, but it gives you that color. This is Wet n Wild. I love this lipstick. I found it at Walmart for 96 cents, and it has such great pigment and it stays all day. It's a glossy finish, so it's a lipstick, but it has that feel of lip gloss, which I love. So I'm just putting a little bit of this light pink on my lips, rubbing it together, and I think that's the end of our look. This was pretty easy. It was done in about 10 or 15 minutes, And if you have a little bit of time in the morning to give yourself that natural, lively, warm glow, this is a perfect thing for you. Thanks so much for watching, you guys. Bye.